Hello. Well, I'm sorry about the technology issues earlier, um, but this is a review of geometry, and you've all seen this before. And of course, with technology, there's so many resources out there. Schools in the future, some are going to be in person, some are going to be online, some are going to be a combination of both. So let's just practice doing these special right triangles by watching this video and then trying it on your own. So right here, I have two special right triangles, a 45, 40, 90 degree right triangle and a 30, 60, 90 degree right triangle. Now you can see the formulas right here, but I want to go over it a little bit more in detail because for me, I'm a visual person, but I'm also a kinesthetic person. So I want to actually physically write this. So if I just take a look at a 45, 45, 90 degree right triangle, this is an isosceles right triangle, meaning that two sides are equal and two angles are equal, or actually congruent, okay? And so if I call the leg X, then the other leg should also be called X because they're the same size. And the hypotenuse is always the leg times the square root of 2. So if you prefer, instead of writing X, you can say leg. And then the hypotenuse, which is the longest side, is leg square root of 2. If I take a look at a 30, 60, 90 degree right triangle, and again, it doesn't matter which direction it's going. So let me draw a triangle. 30, 60, 90. So across from the 30 degree, which is the smallest angle, would be the smallest side. And we call that X. The hypotenuse, which is the longest side, is always 2X. And the 60 degree angle, which is the medium size leg, that is always X square root of 3. So if you prefer, you can call the shortest side, right, the X, the shortest side, or the shortest leg, I guess you should say. You can say that 2X is 2 times the shortest leg. And X squared of 3 would be the shortest leg times the square root of 3. And the difference between the 45, 45, and 90 and the 30, 60, 90, it's not just the fact that they have different degrees for the other two angles. It's how I remember is that 45, 45, 90 is two different angles. So it's square root of 2 for the hypotenuse. And 30, 60, 90 is 3 different angles. So it's the square root of 3. So let's take a look at some problems right here. So the very first problem on the left, well, I notice this is a 45 degree triangle. So 45, 45, 90. Now, across from this 45 degrees is 2 square root of 3. So across from this 45 degrees must also be 2 square root of 3 because those are both the same size. So across from the 90 degrees, this right here always has to be X times the square root of 2. Well, if X equals 2 square root of 2, then x squared of 2 would be 2 square root of 2 times the square root of 2. And when I multiply, remember I multiply the outside numbers, which is 2, and the inside numbers, which would be the square root of 4. So square root of 4 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay. So writing my answers, I have b equals 2 square root of 2, and I have a equals 4. Let's take a look at number 2. And number 2 is also a 45, 45, 90-degree triangle. So again, I'm going to take a look at my 45 degrees, and across from the 45 degrees, which is x, and across from the 45 degrees, which is y, those have to be equal to each other. So I know x equals y. If I take a look at the 90 degrees, that is 4. Now remember that the hypotenuse is x square root of 2. So if 4 equals x square root of 2, then to solve for x, I'm going to divide by the square root of 2. So x equals 4 over the square root of 2. And for right now, I'm actually going to let you leave it like this. Okay, technically we have to rationalize the denominator, but for right now, I'm going to let you leave it like this. Okay, so since x equals y, x equals 4 over square root of 2, and y equals 4 square root of 2. Let's take a look at number 7 and 8. Yes, I know I skipped the other numbers because I was cutting and pasting. Both of these are 30, 60, 90-degree triangles. So first thing I want to do is I want to recognize where the 30 degrees is. Because if I recognize where the 30 degrees is, that is what we call x. Well, this right here is the 30 degrees. So this right here is the shortest leg. On number 8, across from the 30 degrees is number 2, so 2 is the shortest leg. Now, across from the hypotenuse, okay, so across from that 90 degrees, which is a hypotenuse, that is always 2 times the shortest leg. So let's see if we can find some information. So let's go back and look at number 7. Well, if 16 is 2 times the shortest leg, then if I divide by 2, the shortest leg must equal 8. So I'm going to replace the shortest leg side, which happens to be y, with the number 8. Okay, so now I have the shortest side and I have the hypotenuse. So across from the 60 degrees, which we see x, that's always the shortest leg, square root of 3. Well, if the shortest leg is 8, then it's 8 square root of 3. So I want to make sure I write this nicely. Y is 8, and x is 8 square root of 3. Let's take a look at number 8. Okay, so my shortest leg is 2. So 2 times my shortest leg is going to be 2 times 2. And 2 times 2 happens to be 4. So U is 4. Now across from the 60 degrees, which happens to be V, that is always my shortest leg times the square root of 3. Well, if my shortest leg is 2, then it's 2 square root of 3. So to write this nicely, I'm going to say U is 4 and V is 2 square root of 3. Let's take a look at these next ones. So I have a 45, 45, 90 and a 30, 60, 90. So let's go back to the 45, 45, 90. So again, I'm going to look for my 45 degrees. And these right here, these are my legs, right? These legs equal because the degrees equal. So if the one leg is 4 square root of 10, the other leg is 4 square root of 10. And the hypotenuse is always the leg square root of 2. So if the leg is 4 square root of 10, then it'd be 4 square root of 10 square root of 2. So when I multiply the outsides with the outsides, which is 4, and the inside with the inside, which would be the square root of 20. Now remember, the square root of 20 can break apart. So we want to break that apart to 2 times 10, and 10 is 2 times 5. So what can come out of the square root of 20? I could take out a 2. And what am I left with? I'm left with a 5. So it's 8 square root of 5. So to write this nicely, x is 4 square root of 10. And y is 8 square root of 5. Well, let's take a look at this 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. Okay. So across from the 30 degrees, that is always the shortest side. So in this case, the shortest leg, shortest side, whatever you want to call that. Across from the 90 degrees, that is always 2 times the shortest side. And across from the 60 degrees, that is always the shortest side times the square root of 3. Well, take a look at that. They both have a square root of 3. So it must be that the shortest side is equal to 7. So if the shortest side is 7, that means m equals 7. And so 2 times the shortest side would be 2 times 7, or 14. So right here, m equals 7 and n equals 14. So let's try this on your own really quickly just to make sure you got it. So we have a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle. Ask yourself, what do you know about across from each 45 degree angle? Well, they're equal. So if they're equal, that means B has to equal 8 because they're both the same length. And what do you know about across from the 90 degrees? It is always the leg times the square root of 2. So our leg is 8, so it's 8 square root of 2. So B equals 8, and A equals 8 square root of 2. What do we know about a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle? Well, across the 30 degrees, that's the shortest side. So the shortest side is 9. Across the 90 degrees, that is always the shortest 2 times the shortest side. Well, if the shortest side is 9, then 2 times 9 must be 18. So the hypotenuse is 18. And what do I know across from the 60 degrees? Well, that is always the shortest side times the square root of 3. Well, if the shortest side is 9, then it's going to be 9 square root of 3. So to write it nicely, I'm going to put z equals 18 and y equals 9 squared of 3. I hope this was helpful. Remember that I'm available every Monday from 1 to 2. I'm available every Tuesday from 3:15 to 4:15, and the same thing with Thursday from 3:15 to 4:15. So don't be afraid to reach out to me either on Remind or, of course, to attend tutoring. Hope this was helpful for you to complete your assignment. Have a fantastic day.